when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television, and thank you so much for staying with us. We begin conversations this morning. Why am I saying afternoon? I feel as if I've already had a very long day, but we continue conversations this morning in studio. As you heard in our introduction, my co-host Akin Labi said that there's trouble brewing, but is there really? We're going to have that conversation this morning. We speak with Mr. Curtis Douglas, the president of the All Fisherfolk Association, and Mr. Watson Duke, political leader of PDP and an assemblyman. Let's not forget that. Good morning, guys, and welcome.
Good morning. Good morning to you all. Good morning to Tobago. Good morning to all your viewers and listening public. You know, it's sad that, I have to be here this morning to really let the people be the judge of what is taking place in Trinidad and also more so Tobago, because, we are a republic and we all love each other. But this morning I come here to express our sentiment and the burning issue that is faced by victimization, nepotism, by our leader, Mr. Fali Chavez and his team. Now, I don't want anybody to cast any aspersion upon anyone, but this is just a real matter what is going on. So I know Mr. Duke will have something to say, but let me just jump right into it, because I want everyone to understand, and I'm going to speak very slowly so that everyone can understand, and I will try to hold back my emotions when I speak, because this is a very emotional time, not for me only, but for the fisher folks and the people of Tobago. It's been almost 2 years now. It's over a year.
Over a year.
Over a year, going to 2 years. From
That's
25,
right, yeah.
It will be 26.
That's right.
And we already passed 24.
So
it's over a year. We are approaching 26. And also we have something like about 6 months again, if so much, before a big election in Tobago. Make no mistake about it. From the announcement of the retirement of the Prime Minister to the non-payment and the victimization of the fisher folk.
So let's get into the actual issue. We know that just about a year ago, an incident took place in Tobago. There was an oil spill, a massive oil spill in Tobago. And we do know that your was contracted to assist in the cleanup. Yes. We do know that.
Yes.
We also know that fishermen suffered losses as a result of the oil spill. So those are the two entities that we're kind of representing here in this conversation this morning, right? So we want to talk now about the compensation part of it, because that's the issue right now, the burning issue in terms of payments and compensation.
I don't know what is that, I don't know what is that, because that is missing. That word that they call, or that abbreviation, or that factor you put in the compensation, that doesn't lies on the lips or the actions of Mr. Chavez.
For which organization? For AFTA or for the Fisherfolk?
AFTA do not need any compensation.
Right, so they need to be paid for the services rendered.
AFTA need to be paid for the services rendered.
Were they paid?
We were paid part of our money.
What is the total bill for AFTA?
The total bill in everything you're talking about that we owed, or what was paid?
What was owed to you for the services rendered for the cleanup?
6 point something million is owed to ADFA, and only part of that
What
was
is the
paid.
part?
The part was, he paid this year, he paid 1.9 something million, and before he paid 1 million roughly. So he owes probably almost $5 million left, and we still haven't received that. So here before ATFA, they paid Kaizen $18.7 million.
Tell them.
Tiger Tanks 15.4 million. Ambipa, $4.3 million. Ambipa was to leave because they didn't even know what they was doing. They were totally lost. And they was paid in full. But the Tobago contractors and the all Tobago Fisherfolk, who was the first responders, who get out of the bed 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning to make sure that we safeguard Tobago, are still being owed. And even when he, on the 24th of January, when he made his announcement that he would pay us and he owes us and admit us, he still can't give a date. How dare could you, as a chief secretary, owe the people and cannot tell them when you're paying, but you're paying your other counterparts in full, right? So we is the scapegoat, we is the stepchild, we is the one you walk upon. Well, this morning I'm saying enough is enough.
Mr. Douglas, let me ask you this, right? In terms of the arrangement or the agreement for payment, I know that this was an occurrence nobody expected, nobody planned for. So AFTA had to show up, AFTA had to help.
No, we don't help.
No,
We worked.
Okay, you worked. You worked. Assisting to the cleanup of the situation that took place in the island of
Yes.
Tobago for the sake of the persons who reside here, right? So you're helping. You're lending a hand to help, but you have to be paid, right? So you came on the spot, you said, right, we have what it takes, we're going to do the work. What was the arrangement in terms of payment? What was the discussion? Was there a discussion? Was there an agreement? Did you determine we're going to work? We're going to determine how much it's going to cost after. You're going to pay us 50%. You're going to pay us 100%. You're going to pay us in 8 months, 6 months, 10 months, a year. What was the discussion in terms of payment?
The discussion was called emergency. You know what's an emergency? When you have to get out of your bed, like when the police come for you.
I understand that, but what I'm saying...
What you give me a chance to explain so that the listening public could understand. They heard your view. They need to hear my view.
It was not a view, it was a question.
It was a question, so I'm answering the questions.
Go ahead.
Right? So the question is, if there was arrangement, yes, there was arrangement. The arrangement was we send in our invoices every week. So every week we send in our invoices. We supposed to get paid by every week or 2 weeks. When our invoices is being sent in, we send in our invoices with pictures of us working and the cost factor of the work that was being done. So that's supposed to be paid every week. And every week we ask about it. We asked Mr. Alan Short about it every week. He said every Friday.
And Mr. Douglas, before you go further, let me just say, as an expert in labor law, and I spent a great deal of time leading workers in this country, emergency work demands emergency pay. Understand that? Emergency work demands emergency pay. And there's no delay in that. You must cut all the cheese and get down to that money and pay people because it is emergency work.
I understand and I appreciate that, but let me just ask you this again, Mr.
What I don't like is the way you are talking down fishermen.
No, not at all.
As if they deserve to be paid late.
Mr. Duke, allow me to ask the
should not be paid.
I'm asking the question so I can get the answers. Allow me to ask the question.
Okay.
So the arrangement is that you'll be paid weekly. You submit your invoices and you're supposed to be paid weekly.
Was your invoices
that was
submitted?
Once the invoices and your invoices were submitted as per arrangement.
Over a year now.
Right. So every week you would submit your invoices.
Every week. And we have
when was the first time you received any type of payment?
Boy, that was in probably March last year, and that came and they said to me,
I would caution you, these matters may be subject to a court action. Don't put all your cards out on the table here. This may be...
No, the reason I'm asking this is because I want to know the consistency in terms of how the payments were made. Were they consistent? Because if they're owing this large amount, was it the pay? Just now, let me ask. The first payment, was it a lump sum for a period, an extended period of time?
It was only for 1 month. But what I'm saying, you are angling the narrative as though we are the abuser.
Not
here.
At all.
Wait,
I am asking to get the answers because I need an understanding as well.
So I'm giving you understanding. So you paid, you're asking how they paid us. But they came and they paid Tiger Tanks, Kaizen.
They were paid in full on the first installment? One time?
Listen, we are in 2025. They were paid in full in 2024. And in 2025, we still haven't been paid in full. But hear what? I don't want you to straight... Listen, I know it's your thing. Hear what I want. Hear what I'm here for this morning. Right? I'm here for this morning for the fishermen.
That's right.
Right? The fishermen, especially fishermen in Lambeau, that hasn't been paid. Right? Since last year. And the chief secretary is saying to the fishermen, they need to get to the ITCOP because ITCOP wrote him and told him not to pay the fishermen. I didn't know, since when an outside entity is controlling or dictating
a government,
the THA, the Tobago governing party, the governing assembly, and telling them what to pay. Hence the reason why the fishermen in Lambeau and Tobago call up resoundingly on Mr. Watson Duke because they said to the people, they said to me and to Mr. Duke, we had voted for PDP to represent us for the election. We never vote for no individual, we vote for a party. And you is the founder, and you is the leader, and the people of Tobago are now calling upon Mr. Watson Duke to fix this and fix it now, because it was said to the people that they will fix it. That's the reason why Mr. Duke is here, and I'm calling up to him on live television with the people from Plymouth, from Lescotho, from Culloden, from Lambeau, from Scarborough. We are calling upon him now to do something about this, whether he forcing Farley to call an election or whatever the case may be, but we need to fix this, and the fishermen need their money, and they need their money now. That's why Mr. Duke is here to represent, because he is the only one had the tenacity, the spirit to stand up for Tobagonian when they are being victimized, because we are somebody's child. I have a mother, I have a father, and the fishermen have a mother, a father. They have somebody, that's somebody's children, and we're supposed to be treated equally and fairly, because they did not make a phone call, or they did not send an email or anything to call to make an oil spill in Tobago. And we don't see why after a year, Farley promised that he is going to fix the Fisherfolk. Instead, if you have 2 million, you need to come into ATFA and let us split that money across the board, and let the people Lambeau get fixed, let the vendors get fixed, let the fishermen get fixed.
Mr.
And we call up Mr. Duke.
So, Mr. Douglas, now we shift gears now to the Fisherfolk.
Yes,
this is in terms of compensation.
Yes.
What conversation was had as it relates to compensation? What was the, I don't know if there's a protocol, if there was a policy implemented in terms of how are we going to compensate? Is there going to be a percentage for compensation? How is it going to be dispersed for the Fisherfolk in Tobago here, where after the incident took place? I don't know if Mr. Duke, you can come in on this conversation as well.
I want to. As an expert in labor law, I will say to my colleague here, do not give your hand away. Any information you say can be used against you, because it will come as if you are speaking truth. This is a matter may end up in court, right? These person came out and they did emergency work for emergency pay.
That's after.
Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm.
When the other entities, the Kaiser and whoever entities did the emergency work, they got emergency pay immediately, pronto. All together, a group of Trinidadian contractors got $37 million. Yet the local contractor in Tobago, who was the first respondent to the issue and the last respondent, they have gotten chicken feed, and they're trying to fight them down and say they can't get paid. Why they didn't talk about rules of engagement with the other Trinidad companies? Farley is always doing that nastiness to Tobagonians, and he has to stop.
Yes.
No cookie crow can come a yard and beat yard foul.
Correct.
All right. So what?
I want to make it plain here. We are going somewhere with this. Cookie crow can come a yard and beat yard foul. Nobody can come in Tobago and beat Tobago contractors. Let me go a little further than this. It's not the first time. We have seen Trinidadian contractors fly in here, got 25 million contract, $75 million, that's construction or infrastructural contracts. And our Tobago contractors are here, they're giving 520,000 contract, and this kind of madness, and they're catching them and then to get paid. Farley has to understand, he has a responsibility to manage the affairs in Tobago for Tobagonians. No, I've said that.
I understand.
Let me answer the question now.
Please do, because we really need to get an understanding as to the compensation for the Fisherfolk. That is the matter at hand now. I know a press conference was held yesterday, and they expressed their grievances.
Yes.
What is the agreement for compensation? Was there an initial conversation that took place? What did the conversation entail? Because, I mean, people have to...
Let me take you back to this.
Just now, people have to manage the expectations. So me, I need the information so I know how to determine, am I going to get compensated today? Am I going to get compensated tomorrow? How much am I going to get compensated? When, how long am I going to be waiting for this compensation? Did that conversation happen? Because if it didn't happen, then of course the Fisherfolk will be like, well, what is happening? So we want to know what was the conversation.
Let me keep it very, very simple. The fisherman has no expectations to manage. None. None whatsoever. Right? None whatsoever. So don't ask the fishermen to manage expectations. They have been managing expectations for years.
I have not asked them. I'm saying, was a conversation
No, you can't ask and answer the question. You understand the question? I'm saying to you.
Did they have a
fishermen
conversation?
Fishermen have no expectations to manage.
Was a
they did emergency work. They have suffered, and have suffered overnight. They must be compensated overnight. If a man get licked down on the road now, we're going to tell him, man, manage his expectations. Because,
that is not what I said.
Because a vehicle had to come from Trinidad to come across on Tobago.
I am asking you, what was the conversation?
Ask them that. Let's ask a different question.
But I have to ask the question, how do we get the answers?
The questions we need to ask this morning is, why isn't Farley paying the people and them the money? Why
That is
keeping
why
the
I'm
money up there?
asking the
Right.
question. What was the
all right, so
conversation?
Leave the fishermen alone. The fishermen need to be paid.
Yeah, what? Farley came out publicly, even on these stations, and made a commitment to the fisherfolk that they would get paid before the end of this year, last year. Farley would have came out in the beginning.
Was any money at all paid to the
The
fisherfolk?
only thing the fisherfolk would have had.
But why are they concerned about the fishermen money? So
This is what you are here to speak about, so we have to ask the
you're talking about
questions.
it as if you're trying to catch them.
Mr.
being
Duke,
paid or not paid.
I am asking the questions because I want to know when the fishermen are going to be paid. Have they been paid?
No,
And when are they going to be paid? That's the questions
And
I'm
I said
asking.
that over and over already.
So then why are we here? Why are we
Yeah,
here?
I
They're
think-
here because Farley need to pay them
That's
to
right.
highlight the issue.
You need to
Farley
pay.
is too wicked to Tobagonians.
Mr. Duke,
And we want that to be known.
Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
Call him Duke too.
have
anything.
the fisherfolk been...
No, the only thing fisherfolk have ever received was early up in the year last year.
And
They
it's
give-
not the full amount.
And no, wait, it was no full amount. He only used this and give them $1,000 voucher. That was the only thing.
A one payment?
That was it.
Insulting.
So
And
one
he-
payment of $1,000 is
yes,
what the fishermen got?
Yes, and a food voucher. And he would have promised the people, because we would have took his word and his commitment, because a man stand by his word and his commitment, that he would pay the fisherfolk, the vendors. And he even said here what? Mr. Douglas, I'm going to help. I'm going to make sure that the fisherfolk get paid in full and bring back the fishing, restore back the fishing industry to even better than it is. And so far, no fishermen have received any funding or any form of assistance since then to now. And after that now, he waits almost a year to come back and tell
So
the
he can't pay them.
fisherfolk and say, ITOF told him not to pay the fisherfolk. You are... Our argument is, you are the chief secretary. You are the one that is in charge. You laying outside somebody from England tell you how to treat your people. ITOF never vote for you. ITOF do have a house here.
Disrespectful.
And this is the problem we have, because he would have made a commitment. He would have made a commitment.
And so the fisherfolk had an expectation that they would be paid.
Not that small, a large expectation that they get paid. So over a year now. So no, over a year now, fishermen is not seeing anything.
So is he saying now that they will not be paid? Is that what he's saying now?
I don't know if
That
he's
is
saying
what
that.
he's doing now.
Right.
He's not paying them.
He's showing us he's not paying us, but he said he's willing to pay $2 million, and up to now, not even a cent was paid, not even a penny. So all them fellas with the fishing boat that will get damaged and stuff like that is done. And he even insult to injury. He said if any of the fishermen, due to the advice of Alan Short, any of the fishermen would have worked in the oil spill, even if they couldn't go see, will be excluded. And okay,
Wickedness.
Okay. But why it is in the excluded? Why it is that no one has been paid? You say you're appointing Linford Beckles to spearhead. Nothing, no fishermen have been talked to. In fact, on the 24th of January, he said he made a big announcement through the station and other station that he would have reached with ATFA to discuss these matters. Up to now, he never met with us to discuss the matters, and the fishermen now are asking the question: Are we citizens of Tobago? And Lambeau people are saying, is Lambeau people the scourge of the society? And Lambeau, make no mistake, sell the 60% of the fish we consume in Tobago comes from Lambeau. So all these vendors was affected, and you promised that you would have paid them. And for to date, not a conversation, not a phone call, not a WhatsApp. But you know what we're saying? We see men running around with big trucks saying they're flying for going for east and going for west, and people hungry, and people can't. And when they're done, they want to say fisherman worry some, and fisherman argue some. But that is not the case. When I give my word as a gentleman, as a leader, when I'm sitting in authority, I keep to my word. And I keep into my word because I was called upon by the people to represent them. Watson Duke was called upon from outside. The fisherman said, get Mr. Duke, Mr. Douglas, I don't care what you do, get Watson Duke and the PDP, we vote for him. We calling him here to fix it. Hence the reason why Mr. Duke is here. Mr. Duke is not here on anything personal. Mr. Duke is here because the people of Lambeau and Tobago is suffering, and they're calling up as a political leader and founder of PDP
Mr. Douglas,
to represent the people.
let me ask you this, right? What was the last interaction you had with the Chief Secretary in relation to payment and compensation? Or either or?
Let me check my phone. so I'll be able to give you the exact date. When I spoke to him and he never replied it to me.
Wow.
Right? Because I would have sent him and told him about the money that he's owing us and how much to pay. He boldly and aggressively refused. The last look here, you see what I'm at there? The 23rd of January 2024. And he said he would have paid.
That's 2025 though.
2025. I call him 2025. No answer. I call him in 2025. So you see, I am making the effort to reach out to him. I'm making the effort to reach out to him because I don't hate anyone. All I'm concerned about is the concern of the fisherfolk and the promise that you make. We are hoping and holding you accountable to it. So we expect you to keep and that onus and the responsibility of a chief secretary and pay the fisherfolk, and don't come and make excuses and say but outside entity is advising you. When we took Orville London to court, which was all Tobago fisherfolk, and we won Orville London in the court, right? And the court appointed and tell Orville London pay the fishermen them money. Orville London turned and said, no court can tell you how to run the assembly. So you was trying to say to me that Mr. Chavez, the good Speyside boy, the good Adventist boy, right, do not know how to run the assembly by now? After 4 years? Come on. When you say something publicly, honor that. And if you're an Adventist boy, as you say, speak the truth and honor the truth and honor your words. Hence the reason why we call Mr. Joe. We call somebody with honor.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have been speaking with Mr. Curtis Douglas, President of the All Fisherfolk Association here in Tobago, and also Mr. Watson Duke, an Assemblyman and political leader of the PDP. And we're talking about payment for after and compensation for the Fisherfolk of Tobago after the oil spill, which took place just over a year here in Tobago, still awaiting payment and conversations. Of course, we will keep you updated as to what is happening where that is concerned. We will continue to do the research and investigations to get the information and bring it to you, our viewers. We all want to know what is taking place, and we all want to be sure that we are confident in what is happening and that the persons who have been affected are compensated in the way that they should be. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where we have to end the morning show on Tobago Updates Television, but it's not where we end our programming. We head on over to GMT, which is Good Morning Tobago, and as we go, we invite you to help us. Share the live, share the live, share the live.